Alright, this is a video on how to change your front lower motor mount on the 2004 Chrysler Pacifica. It is a 3.5 liter 24 valve engine. Now first, I got a block of wood and a jack, and I supported the oil pan. And I hoisted it up just a little bit. I have it driven up on the ramps, so I have extra clearance underneath. Now then, I proceeded to loosen the bolts on this bracket here that sits up in the engine. Now, if you've changed one of these before, this is the bracket that supports and holds the motor mount. My old motor mount was pretty tore up. It was in two separate pieces. You see they're oil-filled hydraulic motor mounts. Oil comes out. Last time I did this, I dropped a bracket on my face and it tore me up pretty well. This is a brand new motor mount I'm going to install in a minute. Now, to add extra clearance, you're going to loosen the cradle bolts that are in here. They're these big cradle bolts. I believe it was what a 20, I think it's it's a 21 millimeter bolt on both sides. The cradle bolt will sit right up in there. Now there's 3 bolts on the bracket itself. There'll be one, and they're all 15 millimeter. One on the back here, one bolt on the underside of this, and one bolt here. Now there's also a wire harness that is hooked up to the front. Let's see if I can focus right here. That's a 10 millimeter bolt, a little itty bitty bolt right here. And once you get that bracket loose, you got the cradle bolts dropped and your cradle's dropped a little bit. If you do not have an engine hoist, this tutorial is if you do not have an engine hoist. You can actually jack up the engine itself. But you cannot do it if your side motor mount is intact. So, you're going to loosen these bolts on the side motor mount. And then there's 3 bolts on the bracket that's on the side of the motor. And you're going to loosen them up each little by little until the engine will either drop or raise depending on how much pressure you have on the jack. I added more pressure to the jack, and the motor, you can see, the motor actually raises. And the suspension will raise a little bit too as you take pressure off the engine body. Now once you've done that, you're gonna pull the bracket out from this area up here. You'll pull the bracket out through this hole, and if you can't, you might be able to pull a little bit on the engine cradle if you need a little extra clearance. Then you're gonna pull it out, and there's an 18 millimeter bolt on the top here that your mount's going to be mounted to. You undo the 18 millimeter bolt, take the old mount off, and I'll show you putting the new one on. Okay, putting a new one on now. I gotta cut the compressor back on. Yeah. So, I'm gonna take and tighten this all the way down. I do not know the torque rating for this bolt. I'm pretty sure you want to make sure it's freaking tight. Alright, now I'm going to pause videotaping and I'm going to put this back up in the engine since I only have two hands and finish tightening it down. Alright, now I've got the new mount positioned. It's in place. Remember when I told you when you're taking them out, the bolt will be here, behind here, and there's one up top. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the bolts back in and I'm going to secure it to the motor. Then I'm going to drop this bolt back into this hole. And then I'm going to slowly let pressure off the motor and let it drop down a little bit until it drops into the hole. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up there and I'm going to secure the motor mount, the side motor mount that we loosened to take pressure off. And I'm going to secure the back so everything's safe. And then after that, if I need to, use another jack the cradle up if I can't get enough pressure or if there's not enough thread to reach the hole up there. And I'm going to slowly raise the cradle back up. And then once that bolt has come all the way through, secure it down and check all your other connections. I also loosened this one up back here, the rear motor mount, to get a little extra clearance. I will secure that back, front one back, make sure everything is secure. The 10mm bolt, I don't know how necessary that one is, but I'll also put that one back on. I did it last time. I guess I'll do it again this time. This motor mount's less than 6 months old and it's already broken. This car is really terrible from what I hear for breaking motor mounts quite often. If I were to take a gander, I'd say 80% of the motor mounts on the road today on these cars are broken. So I'm going to pause video and I'm going to handle this. Alright, right now I'm securing the top bolt on the bracket. Then I'll move down to the bolt that goes right here. Alright, now I'm finished. I got all 3 bolts all set up. And you want to make sure that that bolt right there is visible in the hole. Alright, you can see it there very little bit, but you can see it there. It's set in the hole so that when I drop the motor back down, it'll drop right back into the hole. Now I'm going to cut the compressor on. It's going to get really loud. So I'm going to let it fill up for a little bit. Alright, got the compressor filled up. And now I'm going to secure these bolts. First, I loosely put in the ones on the 2 sides of the side motor mount. Then I'm going to totally secure these ones. Now you might have to jack the engine up if your jack leaks. Mine leaks. So I'm going to secure these. I need some more air, so I'm gonna let the compressor. Alright, so I got all 3 bolts secured and the 2 on the side of the motor mount, the side motor mount. They're all secured. Make sure, one thing I did leave out, before you can get to that mount, you have to take your air cleaner box off. I have a cold air intake, but take your air cleaner box off so you can access that. Alright, now I let some pressure off the motor. It's actually got a little loose, but it's tight now. it still didn't drop, the motor mount bolt still didn't drop all the way through the hole. So now I'm gonna have to take another jack and I'm gonna have to jack up the cradle a little bit. Alright. Alright, be careful when jacking your cradle back up, because sometimes your body will catch on the cradle. So you want to make sure it's pulled free. Alright, it's fully extended. Okay. Now you're going to grab your bolt. And it doesn't quite line up, so you're going to have to jack the cradle up quite a bit more. Okay. Alright, so what I had to do, switch jacks and use the big jack. Jack the cradle itself up with a block of wood. And then the cradle, you're going to keep jacking it up until it touches the body. And you'll know that when the body itself moves just a little bit. Alright, then you should be lined up enough. Stick your cradle bolt in. Alright. Get it started. And your next one, make sure you do both sides. Alright, now then you're going to take an impact gun or just your regular old socket wrench and tighten those up. 21 millimeter. Leave the 21 millimeter bolts. Alright, I'm using an impact gun and I'm securing the bolts. Securing them until they're nice and tight. Go back behind it with the bar and make sure they're really tight. I got this long extension on here I don't need, but whatever. Now you're going to secure this bolt here. This should have actually already done. Take, secure the bolt. That's a 19 millimeter bolt I'm going to secure. Alright, I got my 19 millimeter deep well socket. 18, my bad, 18. And then make sure if you loosen up the back one to add extra clearance, make sure you do not forget the back one. Alright, now that's it. If you want to get a bar and your socket wrench and torque on any of these, any extra, you know. I have a Campbell Housefield impact gun, so it's not NASCAR strong, but if you want to tighten up any bolts extra, do so. Alright, what I did forget to tell you in the beginning, you just have to press it off. But I did forget to tell you in the beginning, it's your upper radiator hose. You want to take it out, you're going to leak a little bit of fluid. It wasn't a whole lot of fluid at all. Leak it out, stick it straight up, and then if you want to secure it. Last time I did this, I had an engine hoist and everything. I just secured it right here to the oil spout. After you're done with all your work, make sure you go behind yourself. You're going to take this rag out. If you stuff the rag in the hole, secure that back. Double check, triple check, quadruple check everything. Put your air cleaner back on. And make sure you hook this sensor back up or you'll get an engine code. I've done that before. Forgetting to hook that back up. And that's it. A lot of the diagrams and everything that show you how to do it will tell you disconnect your battery. I did the first time, I didn't do so this time. Thanks for watching. I hope this helped out a lot. I am not a professional, but you know, this definitely helps out a lot. The professionals do not have a video on there that I can see. This is video if you do not have an engine hoist. There is a video on there if you do have an engine hoist. That did help me out the first time I did this, but this time I don't have my engine hoist, so I did it without, and it's all done. You want to take another look? The brand new motor mount. There it is. She's in. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.